Let us continue our story. The second part of our episode. A certain magical Indexa kicks off with Tuma waking up in the hospital, still recovering from his latest battle. Indexa visits him, relieved that he's awake, but she's about to get a shock. Tuma has lost all his past memories. As she desperately tries to remind him of their experiences together, from the time she was hanging off his balcony to when he fought sorcerers for her, Tuma keeps denying any recollection. Heartbroken, Indexa is on the verge of tears. Until Tuma suddenly smirks. "I got you, you fool," he teases. Turns out, while his memory loss was real, his Imagine Breaker canceled out the magic-induced amnesia the moment he touched his head. Furious, Indexa tackles him in frustration, biting him all over in revenge. Meanwhile, Steele and Kaori have been investigating the aftermath of the recent events, but the church refuses to give them any answers. Steele later approaches Tuma with an urgent mission: rescue a girl named Sarah, a powerful Esper imprisoned at Mizuho Academy. A dangerous magician named Louis has taken control of the school and is using Sarah's deep blade ability to hunt and kill vampires. With no time to waste, Tuma agrees to help. As night falls, Tuma and Steele infiltrate the school, which seems normal at first. However, they soon discover a gruesome sight: a knight slaughtered and pinned against a wall. Steele warns Tuma that the area is cursed, preventing students from seeing any intruders. Just then, a group of students begins chanting ominous incantations, and glowing energy crystals start forming around them. Realizing these crystals function like bombs, Steele shouts, "Run for your life!" and bolts. Tuma, seeing no other option, follows suit. The chase leads them to a stairwell where they're cornered from both sides. In a desperate move, Steele shoves Tuma down the stairs to escape. Tuma finds himself trapped, until a mysterious girl appears and uses a painful ritual, slicing her own body to neutralize the incoming attack. As she collapses from exhaustion, Tuma rushes to save her, but the energy bombs close in. Just when all hope seems lost, the crystals suddenly shatter and disappear. Confused, Tuma turns around. Standing before him is none other than Sarah, the girl he was sent to rescue. At the same time, Steele destroys the magical seal controlling the students, but this triggers the arrival of Louis himself. Smirking, Louis acknowledges Steele's interference, but warns that the real battle is just beginning. Back with Tuma, he learns that Sarah isn't actually a prisoner. She's working with Louis by choice. She refuses to harm vampires, believing they have families and deserve to live. Louis, however, has been exploiting her ability to capture vampire blood for his twisted experiments. Before Tuma can convince Sarah to leave, Louis suddenly appears, moving at inhuman speed. He paralyzes Tuma with his magic, rendering him helpless. As he prepares to finish him off, Sarah steps in, threatening to leave if he kills anyone. Louis, surprisingly wary of her, backs down. Instead, he injects himself with a mysterious serum and stabs Tuma, forcing him to forget everything that happened. With his mission erased from his mind, Louis walks away, leaving Tuma unconscious in the middle of the battlefield. The fight for Mizuho Academy is far from over. On one side, Indexa finally tracks down Tuma by following his energy, arriving at his location. Meanwhile, Tuma and Steele are sitting together, completely clueless about why they are there. It's as if their memories have been erased. But by pure chance, Tuma scratches his head, breaking the spell, and suddenly remembers everything. Without wasting a second, he tells Steele he'll cast a spell to help him remember. But instead of a spell, bam! Tuma lands a solid punch on Steele's jaw, knocking him down as revenge for throwing him onto the crystals earlier. At the same time, Indexa enters the school, only to find herself face to face with Louis, who smirks and says, "What a lucky coincidence. I was looking for you." Before she can react, he casts a spell, knocking her unconscious. This guy isn't messing around. Back at the school, Tuma and Steele return, only to find themselves blocked by a large group of guards. But things take a terrifying turn when a sinister magical force starts radiating from their swords. It turns out that Louis is conducting an experiment inside the building, and suddenly, the entire place begins to collapse. But just when it seems like destruction is inevitable, the impossible happens. The ruins start reconstructing themselves, reversing the damage as if time itself is rewinding. This is one of Louis' devastating magical abilities. Tuma stands there, mouth wide open, in sheer disbelief. And if you thought that was intense, just wait for what's coming next. Spotting Indexa's scarf on the ground, Tuma realizes she must be inside the school. With renewed urgency, he and Steele rush in, searching for her. Meanwhile, Louis has Indexa unconscious on a desk, speaking to Sarah. Once we capture just one vampire, this whole ordeal will be over. Before they can make their next move, Tuma and Steele burst into the room. Tuma, seeing Indexa unconscious, charges forward to save her, but Steele stops him. Louis smirks and says, "I won't let you interfere." At this moment, it's revealed that Louis was once one of Indexa's protectors. He had deep feelings for her and wanted to find a way to free her from the annual memory erasure. But his solution? Turning her into a vampire. Since vampires can store an infinite amount of memories, this would allow Indexa to live a normal life without needing her memories wiped every year. Hearing this, Tuma is furious. "You're doing this without even asking her?" Steele, equally enraged, tells Louis that Indexa has already been saved by Tuma. "He did what neither of us could do, Louis." This revelation shocks Louis to his core. The very boy he considered insignificant had achieved what he couldn't. Overcome with anger and pride, Louis unleashes his magic, knocking everyone to the ground. "Indexa belongs to me. No one will take her from me." Sarah tries to stop him, but Louis eliminates her in an instant. As Tuma struggles to move, he yells for Sarah to escape, warning her that Louis no longer needs her and will kill her. But before she can react, Louis strikes her down. Just when it seems like all hope is lost, Tuma cancels the spell and rushes to Sarah's side, saving her from the brink of death. Louis laughs, believing victory is his. But when Sarah suddenly regains consciousness, he is stunned. How is she still alive? It's Tuma's power. He nullified the magic that should have killed her. Fueled by rage, Tuma stands up. "You're going to pay for this." Louis, realizing he's losing control, vanishes and reappears, bombarding Tuma with an onslaught of magic attacks. But every spell is nullified the instant it touches him. Frustrated, Louis smirks and says, "If you can cancel magic, let's see how you handle this." He pulls out a gun and fires. But shockingly, the bullet misses Tuma entirely, hitting the wall instead. "Did you really think I'd let you die that easily? No, I'm going to make you suffer." Suddenly, multiple guns materialize in Louis' hands, and he unleashes a hail of bullets. But yet again, Tuma remains unharmed. Steele, regaining his composure, taunts Louis. "You're going to lose, just like you failed to save Indexa." This sends Louis into a blind rage. He hurls Steele into the air and brutally attacks him. Then, in a shocking move, he summons a sword from his gun and slashes Tuma's arm, severing it in a brutal, gut-wrenching scene. But despite losing his arm, Tuma stands his ground, laughing. "Is that all you've got?" His fearless attitude leaves Louis in utter disbelief. Enraged, Louis summons enormous magical daggers, launching them at Tuma. But every single one disappears upon contact. Realizing he's lost control of the fight, Louis tries to retreat, crawling under a desk in fear. But it's too late. Tuma, now radiating an overwhelming power, towers over him. Then, a massive dragon materializes, its presence shaking the very foundation of the room. In an instant, Tuma obliterates Lewis with one final strike. Sometime later, the battle is over, and the city is calm again. Tuma wakes up in a hospital, his arm miraculously restored thanks to the frog-faced doctor. Soon after, Indexa visits him, scolding him playfully. "How many times are you going to end up in the hospital because of me?" Of course, she has no idea how much he goes through for her. Meanwhile, Sarah is also present, thanking Tuma for saving her life. In a surprising turn, Indexa declares, "Since I take care of Sphinx the cat, I've decided to change things up. From now on, Sarah will live with us." Just like that, Tuma finds himself with yet another unexpected roommate. Later, as Tuma returns to school, he stops to buy a drink from a vending machine. But in classic Tuma fashion, the machine swallows his money and malfunctions. Just my luck. At that moment, a familiar voice calls out, "It's Misaka." "Hey, idiot! Move aside!" But when she realizes Tuma doesn't even remember her name, she's furious. "Fine, I'll remind you." She zaps him without hesitation. Afterward, when she discovers the vending machine took his money, she doesn't hesitate, kicking it until all the drinks fall out. Tuma watches in shock. "You're going to get us caught." He tries to slip away, but Misaka follows him, tossing him a drink. As she sits beside him, her non-stop chatter begins. Then, her friend appears, teasing her. "I've been looking for you for an hour, and here you are, hanging out with your boyfriend." Misaka turns beet red and immediately attacks her friend in embarrassment. But the surprises don't stop there. Suddenly, Tuma turns and sees another girl, identical to Misaka. "Wait, are you playing two roles at once?" But no, this isn't Misaka. It's her twin sister, Mikoto. As if Tuma's day couldn't get any crazier, he returns home, only to find Indexa and Sarah sitting outside. The reason? Their cat, Sphinx, is covered in fleas. While Indexa wants to burn the grass to get rid of them, Sarah is ready with bug spray. But before they can act, Mikoto steps in, lightly zapping Sphinx with her electricity, eliminating the fleas instantly. And with that, another day in Tuma's crazy life comes to an end, just as chaotic as ever. After a long school day, Tuma is heading home when he spots Mikoto crouched on the ground, trying to rescue a stray cat. He greets her and thanks her for helping him last time. Mikoto, deciding to take care of the cat, is walking the same way as Tuma, so she carries it along. When Tuma suggests she name the cat, her choice is Dog. Yes, you heard that right. On their way, they stop by a store where pets aren't allowed, so Tuma tosses the cat to Mikoto and tells her to hold onto her dog until he's back. Just then, Mikoto is startled by the sudden appearance of a mysterious man, X. Realizing danger, she quickly retreats into a side alley, leading to a fierce battle. She fires a barrage of bullets at him, but to her horror, the bullets reflect right back. X doesn't even flinch. She tries again. Same result. It turns out his ability is to reflect all attacks. Desperate, Mikoto attempts to escape, launching an electric shock at him. But once again, the attack rebounds, leaving her severely wounded and bleeding on the ground. It looks like this might be her end. Meanwhile, Tuma exits the store, expecting to see Mikoto, but instead he finds her cat lying on the ground alone. Sensing something is wrong, he picks up the cat and starts searching for her. As he approaches a strange energy field in the distance, he's horrified to find her shoe lying in a pool of blood, surrounded by countless bullet shells. He walks further and freezes. Mikoto is on the ground, motionless, covered in blood. It looks like she's dead. Panicked, Tuma immediately calls the police. But when he returns with them to the scene, Mikoto is gone. Only the traces of battle remain. It's as if she vanished into thin air. Determined to find her, Tuma searches the city until he spots her. But something is off. She's standing there, completely unscathed, and There are multiple versions of her. That's when the shocking truth is revealed. Mikoto is part of a classified military cloning experiment. Realizing the weight of the situation, Tuma recalls Mikoto's reaction when she saw her sister and how distressed she looked before leaving. He heads straight to her dorm to get answers. However, upon arrival, he's greeted by another girl who tells him Mikoto isn't there. She offers to let him wait in her room. Inside, he recognizes her. She's the girl with teleportation abilities. But suddenly, a dorm inspection begins. Panicking, the girl warns that if anyone finds him in the girls' dorm, it will be a disaster. She attempts to teleport them both out, but her ability is nullified. Tuma casually explains, "Oh right, my power cancels out abilities." Furious, she snaps, "Are you serious? Not the time, dude." She quickly shoves him under the bed to hide. While waiting, Tuma notices a strange note hidden inside a stuffed animal. The note seems linked to the events unfolding. Without wasting time, he rushes back into the city to find Mikoto. He spots a subtle clue. The wind turbines are moving despite there being no wind. Realizing it's caused by Mikoto's electromagnetic field, he deduces that the faster the turbines spin, the closer he is to her. Physics class finally came in handy, huh? He eventually finds Mikoto standing alone on a bridge, overwhelmed by sorrow. Haunted by the experiment, she whispers, "Why me? Why did this happen to me?" We learn that from a young age, the city's top officials exploited her powers for countless experiments. She blames herself for the deaths of all her clones. Just then, Tuma arrives and demands to know what she's doing. She coldly tells him to leave. When he refuses, she snaps, "Why do you care? Let me do what I want, whether I stand here or jump off. It's none of your business." Without hesitation, Tuma reveals that he now knows everything about the cloning project and her sister's fate. Mikoto, in turn, explains the terrifying goal behind the experiment. The highest power level in this world is level 5. According to theory, if a level 5 fights in 200,000 battles, they may evolve into level 6, an unknown, godlike power. To test this, the military cloned Mikoto and created 200,000 copies of her. X's mission: kill every single clone to force this evolution. Tuma is horrified. "You're telling me you agreed to this? You're letting yourself be killed 200,000 times?" Mikoto clenches her fists. "I had no choice. But I found a solution. If I kill X, I can save my remaining clones." Tuma immediately protests. "You'll never win. Your fate will be the same as your sister's." Mikoto's response? "Then so be it. At least I'll die with no regrets. Every time one of my clones dies, I feel like I'm dying too." We then learn that 100,000 clones have already been slaughtered in brutal ways. Tuma counters, "And you think your death will stop this experiment? No, it will continue until all your clones are dead." Mikoto, unwavering, declares, "I don't care. I've made my decision." She turns to leave, heading straight for X. Tuma blocks her. "I won't let you do this," she glares. "Move, or I'll kill you." Still, Tuma refuses. "You won't hurt yourself on my watch." With no choice, she attacks him. Electricity crackles as she unleashes a devastating attack. Tuma collapses, unable to move. It looks like this is the end for him. As she looks at her own hands, realization dawns on her. She might have just killed him. But then, Tuma struggles to his feet. With sheer determination, he gasps, "I won't give up on you." Mikoto, stunned, demands, "Why are you doing this? I don't deserve this. What's the reason?" Tuma replies, "You don't need a reason to save someone." She attacks him again and again. Tuma endures it all. Finally, she loses control, channeling an overwhelming surge of energy. The sheer force should kill him. But Tuma's hand moves. He's still standing. For the first time, Mikoto sees something she's never seen before. Someone willing to die for her. Her emotions explode, and she breaks down in tears. And that's where this episode ends. What happens next? Stay tuned for the continuation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. See you in the next episode.